appointed time. For everything, there's an appointed time. For everything, there is a time for every circumstance in life. And that's why Solomon gives these contrasts. When we go through life, we need to understand. To me, this speaks of the providence of God. And I'll talk about that more in a minute. But there has been a time, as Solomon says in here, for you to be born. How many had control over their birth? Not one person in this room had control over their birth, did they? We were born when we were born by the providence of God. Now, our parents had a little something to do with that. But it was God's providence that I was born in this time and in this place. I had no choice to whether I was born black or white. I had no choice whether I was born in America or Saudi Arabia or wherever. But there's a time for me to be born. And as sure as there's a time for me to be born, there's going to be a time for me to die. Unless the Lord comes before that opportunity. If the Lord tarries, everybody in this room, there's an appointed time for you to die. And we need to understand that in life. We need to understand that there is a God who has appointed times for us. He's appointed the providence of his redemptive history. And it is unfolded before us. And you and I have a wonderful opportunity as believers to be a part of God's redemptive providence. We're a part of that appointed. God's placed you here, in this place, in this station of life for a purpose and a reason. And he wants you to glorify him with the time that he's appointed for you. It's interesting that Solomon doesn't mention anything in here about a time for living, does he? He said there's a time to be born, and there's a time to die. Now, he talks about things of life in the next few verses, but he didn't say there's a time to live. Now, I don't know why he didn't. Probably because it didn't fit in with the parallelism that he was trying to make in this poem when he wrote it. But it may be that, we've seen already that Solomon told us our life is what? It's a thing. We're only here for a moment. And when we look back on it, man, life has gone by like a blur. And I got grown kids now, married kids, grandbaby. I'm talking about life is gone in a moment. The longer we live, the closer we are to that second appointed time for us. I think it's important for us to make sure that we have that right relationship with the Lord. Because whether Jesus comes back or not, we're all appointed to see him. So that's the first question we got to deal with today. So there is an appointed time for every event in life. And it speaks of the providence of God. The second thing I thought about when I studied this passage is the only constant in life is change. You've heard that saying before, right? And that's why he writes this poem, I think, in this passage to illustrate for us in verses 2 through 8 that life is about change. Life is about ups and downs and ebbs and flows. That is the nature of life. You're going to be born, you're going to be die, you're going to plant, you're going to pluck up. All these things, these parallels, 14 of them. If you kind of through this passage, there's 14 comparisons that he makes in this verse. And they're almost opposites of one another. A time to build up stones, a time to tear stones down. When you get caught up in what all these individual things mean in there, what about, and I thought about that reading Stones, what's that mean to me to build up stones and tear down stones? I pick up stones in the yard sometimes, right? Because we grow them around here. They may have been dealing with the issue of building gates or tearing gates down or moving, boundaries or whatever it would be. But I think Solomon's point in this passage is not to get caught up on whether you're getting stones or keeping stones or throwing them away. It's to understand that life changes. Every day things change in your life. You will face something different tomorrow than you face today. You may face similar things. There's always going to be a nuance in life that you're going to have to deal with. And we need to understand that if we're going to successfully navigate this life, that there must be some constant anchor in our life. Solomon has been trying to find that constant anchor or that meaning in life through all the things that he's doing in this world. And so far, his catchphrase has been this: it's all vanity. It's all chasing after the wind. Because if all we have is what is in this world, we will never be able to navigate the chains of life successfully. We've got to get to chapter 12, where Solomon concludes and find out that the only way we can navigate the ebbs